Hello and welcome to another episode of Wars Going On. I'm Octurus and I'm joined as ever by Sebastian Keynes. We're here on the Forerunner server and we're bringing you the latest news in what's going on in Watcher of Realms, which is a community-based podcast. So if you'd like to get involved, please join in. Either leave a comment down below or join our Discord and look for the Wars Going On thread.
Well, hello again, everybody. Welcome back in. So we'll just go ahead and get started with the news of the week. And here in Forerunners, again, we had another patch, and it is significant because they have introduced a nice little feature, especially when it comes to gear. And we're now seeing the next power creep as any gacha game will have it. So let's start wherever you want to start, Arcturus. Do we go
Yeah,
gear? Or okay, let's go to the gear then.
Yeah, so let's go to gear. So this is, I think actually we'll just go through the others first, and then we can focus entirely on the gear. So
Okay, sounds good.
they've made some changes to people who play on foldable screens. So that's supposedly improving how it displays across the folding screens. They've fixed an issue where summons occasionally received duplicate attribute bonuses. I had heard about that in relation to Anora and the fact that Labour seem to be doing additional damage. So this is obviously linked into that. I hope it won't have a detrimental effect on Calypso because she was struggling to keep up with everyone as it was anyway. And this one is going to be popular with a lot of people. They have made changes to the arena. They've increased the monster stats by 5% in HP, defense, and magic resistance. Basically, this is an attempt to reduce the Ingrid Praetus metas across all three phases of the arena. And from my experience, it seems to be more pronounced in Overlord and above. Up to Overlord, my Ingrid team pretty much holds up in anti-air arena, but above Overlord, she really starts to drop off quite rapidly.
Okay. So that's interesting to note. So do you think that this is just an adjustment as it comes in for Ingrid, or are there other heroes being affected? Because as you know, I don't do arena, and especially in Forerunners, I don't really bother with it. So is there other teams that you have heard from the likes of other Forerunner players that are falling apart?
Not that I'm aware of. I think it is predominantly the heavy magic using teams in the air arena, and
Air.
yeah, mostly the air arena because that's where it was most impactful. I mean, my only concern about introducing these changes is that they affect people further down the ranks who only have someone like Lunaria, or they've been heavily
Mm.
dependent on their hexes and their Pelagios to move them forward, and all of a sudden the enemies they're going up against have got these stat posts which are making them much harder to defeat, and they're finding the performance much harder.
So we're going to be talking gear, and so we see like there are going to be a couple that are faction specific here, especially as it deals with the watch guard. But eventually you would imagine that if as they keep releasing more and more stats or advantages to that particular faction, that eventually it might override this modification in a sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a good point for us to transition over to the exclusive gear. So let me just start by pulling off these patch notes and pulling up the lists of exclusive gear. So what they've introduced in this patch is a number of items of gear. So we have two pieces for the Watchguard, we have two pieces for the North Throne, two pieces for the Curse Cult. These are faction specific bonuses, and each comes in a kind of offense and defense style. So the Wings of Grace is a new invigoration style effect. It's 12%, and it will target and it'll apply its bonus to the hero with the highest attack rating in range, so there's less chance of it not going on the unit you want it to. So if you're strategic in how you place it down, you can make sure your key DPS units are all getting it, because it won't stack, it will go into the next available unit.
All right.
The Watchguard is I believe it's 8% bonus to the stats. So let's just dive in, because I do actually have one of these.
It's damage dealt, and it says healing effect by 8%, right? Is that...
You're talking about the new healing stats, new healing gear.
Okay. Sorry, I think I heard you wrong then. I thought you were talking about a Watchguard exclusive. So
So
the
the
one that I
Watchguard.
have...
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the one that I have here for the Watchguard, at least that I would be given a screenshot of. It's an exclusive for the Watchguard. It looks to be a ring, and it says that it increases the damage dealt and the healing effect by 8%. So it seems to be one of these that you can either apply based on the set, whether you want to put it on a healer or a healer class, or you want to use it for damage based on what the main and the subs are.
Yeah, so what I meant by there's an offense and a defense set. So this one I've got on screen right now is on the new Cataclysm set. So that's more the offense version of the Watchguard set. The Watchguard set there. So Cataclysm now increases upon landing a critical hit with a basic attack, increases the hero's damage by 9% for 5 seconds. This is basically like the Night Terror set that has been amped up massively. So Night Terror is a 25% for 3 seconds following a critical hit, but this is now much harder, and it will stack up to about 45%. So
okay. All right, you have the list on top of the artifact right now, so I see the last 2 sentences, but I see what you're saying. Okay, so it's kind of a combination.
Yeah, so here it is again. So critical hits with basic attack increases the hero's damage by 9% for 5 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. So as I was saying, this is like an amped up version of the Night Terror set, which has been in the game for a long time.
Perfect. All right. So they're trying to kind of make the T2s pop a little bit more. Is this what I'm going to get a sense of?
Yeah, so it's they're trying to lift things a little bit. So, and when I say there's a defensive version, the other set that is available, let me just go back to the game. And in fact, I'll go to the list version. So this is a bit hard to see. So there's new Wings of Grace. So
Wings of Grace. Mm-hmm.
Here it is up on screen. So healing effect plus 30 increases the attack of the hero and the ally in range with the highest attack by 12%. So it boosts the hero and it boosts the next available ally. So if you had the Watchguard effect on top, that would be another 8% healing effect on top. So really good for healers, and a nice attack bonus to offensive units as well. For the cursed cult, the faction bonus. So the cursed cult one. So let me just go over and bring up one of the cursed cult leader skills so we can see what we're talking about. So the cursed cult for Morrigan is increases faction damage to faction allies affected with CC by 30%. The faction skill gear, so the faction exclusive gear, increases that by a further 10%, which is absolutely massive for heroes like Vierna, who puts out these massive burst attacks to units which are generally under CC effects. So it's going to make Vierna even more powerful. It's going to make Nora even more powerful. These are sets which you're really going to want on your heroes when they come in. Let me just double check. That gear list comes in a Hell's Lament, which is already available in the Artifact Forge, which is the increased critical damage. and the Cataclysm set, which we've already shown, which is the amped up version of Night Terror. So it's all about doing extra damage on those ones. It's all offense.
And it
And
looks to be just the rings for now, so you can only have either one of the two. So you
yes,
can't double dip. And Vierna has her own as well, so then you can even add on top of that with her bangle.
Vierna's is a bangle. And it does seem to be mixed across whether it's a bangle and amulet. Um, so far, we have got both weapons and armor as well in the exclusive gear. It's going to be mixing up quite a bit, and you're going to make a decision about whether you want to have a hero exclusive / faction exclusive equipment versus going for full sets, because the bonuses are worth sacrificing some sets for in order to get the extra damage out from these. So let's just come back to the home screen and I'll go through a slideshow of the exclusive gear because it's really worth having a good look at without this distraction. Okay, so up on screen now, you should be able to see the first one, which is Setram's weapon. And this increases the damage dealt to units to shields by 20%. And then when he's in overload state, he gains 10% penetration. So if you think that one of the shields for Semra is 20% increase in stats, that's immediately halving the defense of one of those stacks. And if you've got someone who can cleanse those stacks, such as your um, Lucius, sorry,
Lucius? Yeah, no, that's fine.
someone like Lucius who's able to cleanse those shields away, then you've got this extra bonus and you can keep applying that extra 10% damage on top. Plus, he already does bonus damage to enemies with shields. So again, it's just increasing, amping him up, making more Simra viable. And you'll find that a lot of these tweaks that we've got from these gear are more about making them viable in Simra, so you can push those higher scores.
Now, this might be an aside to what the over discussing the type of gear that we're in, but you kind of told me that there seems to be a pattern with this the special gear where it seems like two of the stats are fixed or two of the subsets are fixed, and then the two other ones are the variable ones. So, for
Yeah,
example,
so
in this Setram one, you see crit rate, attack speed, and then the RNG would then come in as you get more and more, whether you're going to hit attack bonus, for example.
Yeah, so for an example, I do actually have Semra's weapon. It came into my account today. So I will just flip off the slideshow and you can see it on screen.
Okay.
So here we have again, so we've got crit rate and attack speed and then HP and crit damage. And on the slideshow, we
You
have
had defense
HP and
bonus.
defense. Uh,
Okay, so there seems to be a pattern here. All right.
There is definitely a pattern. The first two stats appear to be the fixed ones, the next two are variable. But that's not to say that they are variable to the ones you might normally see. So we are seeing crit damage on non-ancient weapons. And that's not, and you can also get it. So with these exclusives, let me be perfectly clear. You can get ancient versions of them, and you can get variant versions of them. So you can have absolutely incredible stuff in front of you, and you will be able to dominate your opposition with if you get the right piece of gear coming into your account.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, is the aspect that you like about the this type of the gacha game system, or especially when you have variable stat farming, uh variable stat gear farming, is that it's all dependent on luck, right? If you get the best gear, you're going to be able to do a lot of stuff both in PvE and PvP. So I'd really like this direction of them introducing these type of specific sets, and either it will enhance a hero's abilities or might even make a faction pop a little bit more that wasn't doing it. in specific content.
Yeah, and it's worth noting as well that if you get one of these pieces of gear, if you manage to forge one of these pieces of gear and you don't have the hero, you can still use it as a general piece of gear. And they tend to roll, they can either roll well or they can be re-rolled well. So they're they're definitely worth investing the gold in to build them up.
So let's talk about the sense of then a mid game going into late game type player. So the gear dungeons don't open until you clear gear raid
18.
18, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, all 18. So, okay. So by then you have probably some very good T1 sets. You're going to start working to T2s. The first couple of stages of gear dungeons, you can do it with T1s. It's hard, but you can do it. But once you start getting that T2 sets coming in, you're able to advance a little bit more. And then if your RNG pops and he helps, and you have Vierna, and you get, a curse cult or Vierna Spangle, it just helps your progression so much faster, especially when it comes to Gear Dungeon 1, right? Especially if you use her in the bottom, because you do
Yeah.
need to meet that threshold, right? That she has to have so much attack. Now, if she's getting extra damage because of her AoE, or if she's getting extra damage because somebody is slowing down the Sycophants, I mean, I can just see how mid game, late game, this is just going to help them just push so much faster. And for end gamers, it's either going to be just speed runs, or they might bring in the character to do stuff that we haven't seen him do in the end game, especially like Semra or even GBG, for example. So this is all going to be very intriguing. And
Yeah.
I like the fact that they just released a condensed version, right? Like they didn't overwhelm us with everything and anything. I think the fact that they're going to be slowly introducing them, that's also helps us a little bit,
Yeah.
because we can then hopefully hit in a good one, like let's say a Silas or a Morrigan, and then build those, and then hopefully they give us more gear slots, and then the next batch comes in.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to the next piece. So Torodor's gear, when it's deployed, increases HP by 10% and increases the chance of triggering Atrocious Trample by 5% when attacking. And during the ultimate, increases the chance by an extra 5%. So let's just turn this slideshow off and have a look at his skill set for Atrocious Trample. So Atrocious Trample has a trigger chance of up to between 20 and 30% in standard combat. So as a minimum, that's going to increase to 35% when this piece of gear is equipped. And then you want these triggering because that's what triggers the stun from his from his attacks. And during Hellfire Burning, which is his ultimate, the trigger chance increases. It doesn't say by how much, and the attack range changes. So that increases by a minimum of 40% chance of stun on his attacks. So you just build him up with attack speed, and so he's going to be doing lots of attacks, and he's not the fastest of heroes. I think he's about a 3-second interval. Yeah, he's a 3-second interval. So you load him up with attack speed, you load him up with his gear set, and you just let him wail on the bot on Semra and get those stuns out so that you can keep the stacks nice and high, and you can limit the damage of that chainsaw coming down and wiping out your team.
Oh, I want it for GBG. That's the first thing, because especially with this new map, we're gonna need a lot of CC. That's what I was thinking of using it too. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. I mean,
I can see that. So yeah, this would be a nice little piece for him. There's no question in that.
okay, so next on our slideshow, we have Silas's Bangle. So Silas's Bangle increases the damage of soul sniping from 140% to 160%. So bearing in mind that he's already ignoring 50% of his target's defense or during his with his soul sniping, then he's going to be doing even more damage. And then during his ultimate, he's ignoring all damage. So basically, and he's getting massive stat boosts in that as well. So this is quite a powerful piece for him. It doesn't 20% increase doesn't sound a lot on paper, but when you actually factor into how his kit works, it's actually a really nice piece for him.
Yep.
This one.
The I mean, your A5 Silas just becomes more powerful. That's essentially what it was.
Yeah. This one, oh, this is superb, and I am going to navigate to Vierna in the background while you have a quick read of it. Increases the power of Reaper's Grasp by 100%. So she goes from a maximum of 900% on her exclusive, on her ultimate, to 1000% on her ultimate.
But
Now,
that's the thing that caught your eye. It didn't catch your eye that the execution increases by 10%. So now it goes
I
up
was getting to
40%.
yeah. I was
That's
getting
what
to
intrigued me the most out of this.
yeah. So 45% on the execution threshold now. Sorry. So when skilled up, she's at 35%. So let me just turn this off so you can actually see the skills properly. So when skilled up, it's at 35%, and so there's an extra 10% on top. So that's 45% execution threshold. She's doing 1000% AOE damage. It's absolutely nuts. Gear Dungeon 1 at stage 10. This is going to be the piece to have if you are struggling with that stage, just dealing with the chaos at the bottom there. This is just going to
Yeah.
be transformational.
I mean, the sycophants should just run the other way. Don't even bother coming at her. 45%, that's all you need. My God, that's a phenomenal boost to her. Kind of
Yeah,
brings
and
her
if you
back
manage to
to the
get
power mode, doesn't she?
and if you can get that cursed faction boost on her as well, that extra 10% to units which are under CC. If you're running greed down there, they're going to be all CC'd up. Boom. And you don't even necessarily need to have the legendary leader, because the extra 10% bonus you're going to be having from that piece, suddenly it just becomes so much easier because you're getting the extra stat boost on top.
Yeah, and if you haven't cleared GR1 121 and you RNG yourself into getting this piece with some very good stats, substats, oh my God, this is it's just going to be easier to do. It just powers up the hero. I mean, she's not going to be like game breaking for bosses, but PvE, it, this actually makes people want to chase her even more if they can
Yeah.
get a piece like this. Yeah, exactly.
Conveniently, Global have got her on a banner this weekend with Silas. So,
Conveniently, right? Yeah, just conveniently.
yeah.
So Silas
So,
getting one, Vierna's getting one, of course, it makes sense. But oh man, it was like 45%. Are you kidding me? It's not that you only deal increased damage, now her execution. Oh, that's just
yeah.
I love this. This is an SSSS piece. So I
Yeah.
hope I get one.
Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Right. Next up is Constance. So, Constance is a bit of a mixed up hero. She's trying to do an awful lot of things. She's trying to be inspiration. She's trying to be a healer. She's trying to be a defender, and she's trying to put out a little bit of damage. Now, this now increases her healing multiplier from 80% during her basic to 120%. So that's quite a big healing increase on her basic, and it gives her +3 rage regen. And she's doing quite, I think it's like 14 rage on her basic. So this gets her up to 17 rage on her basic. So you're going to be cycling that ultimate a lot more. More healing means more inspiration to your allies. So it's a really effective piece. And again, if you're able to get her with the Watchguard, and that extra 8%, then not only you're boosting her attack and you're boosting her healing effect. In fact, that the Watchguard kit is actually just made, it's like Constance, have 8% boost on both of your key stats. Here you go. And then coupled
Yeah,
with
so
her, go ahead.
this will I was just gonna say, just thinking on how using Constance in my account, in the global account, is this just makes her even more desirable for Semra, because if you can come back even to her ultimate more quickly, and you can just keep popping up that inspiration, you're gonna get more damage in the long run. And so you don't have to have that. You don't have to hit that. You have a little bit more of an opportunity to hit that 120 before that fourth or fifth poison wave when you're getting 30 stacks added automatically. So yeah, this is healing multiplier and increasing the rage definitely will help her even make her more viable in that regard. I'm trying to think whether this will. I don't think GBG she'll get much unless it takes her, unless you are able to sustain the battle. But yeah, I'm not sure about this being applicable in PvP. Maybe arena or arena or real time arena. That's maybe I
Yeah.
can use there a couple of times.
I mean, also this is on the light grace set, so this has already got 10% rage on it as well. So if you're building that piece up, you're going to get that nice. There's even more rage coming from the gear set that it's on. So again, really well thought out piece. Really nice addition to Constance, and it's going to make her a lot better. Next up, we have Valkyra. Now, this is quite a nice one. So let me just navigate to Valkyra in the background while you read over that. And it sounds pretty straightforward off the back. It's 1% increase. And you're thinking 1% increase. That's not really that massive. But if you let's just have a look at this wording of this passive. So, so the basic passage is you increase the attack by up to 5% every 14 seconds for up to 8 times. So let me just do it 5. So that 5 becomes 6% up to 8 times. So it's up to 4. So it goes from 40% to 48%. He says we're doing mental maths.
48%.
So that's a massive increase on her attack skill, attack stats. So yeah, really good boost to her.
Yeah, again, I don't mind this. I already use Valkyra in arena when I do it. Uh, she will help with gear dungeon 1. Some people like to use her on top. You just get extra attack, even better. You can meet that attack defense threshold. Easier to build in that regard. Maybe you can knock off the attack a little bit, put in more critical damage. Now you're gonna be able to do a little more damage. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
This acts of flexibility to her.
absolutely. And I mean, it might be one of those things where if you get the timing slightly wrong and you don't quite get the shield on her at the right time, that she's not going to. She'll still be able to do enough damage to take out the upper sycophants uh, without it all falling to pieces. So it might give people a little bit more survivability on that top round.
Now you
Okay.
see the pattern though is that they kind of selected the OG heroes to make them pop a little bit more, right? To catch up a little bit to the Pradises and the Jiras. So I like the fact right now is Valkyra, is Morrigan, is I guess Silas. This Silas needed? Maybe not. Setram. It's they're trying to bring those heroes back into the fold. I love this. It's very
Yeah.
interesting.
Now Salazar. Now this is a fun one on Salazar. So Salazar's ultimate is 300% strikes for 5 strikes, and then 1 strike at 380. So five attacks at 300% and 1 at 380% when skilled up. This adds another 2 attacks at
Ooh.
300% basically. So that is a really nice boost to him. So rather than hitting 6 times, he's now hitting 8 times. It means his animation it doesn't work anymore. It kind of he just disappears for a little bit because it can't work out quite how to use it, do its animation when there's an extra 2 in there, but that's fine. But yeah, he's now doing 2 extra big hits at 300%. It's probably not going to change the meta in single target arena because most of the time you're getting his attacks out on that 300% hit is normally enough to take it down, especially when he's being run with Valderon. So Yeah, it's
So
it's
this is a boss piece, don't you think?
yeah, I've put it on my my Salazar, and I'm running a two-part of a Hell's Lament set because this is the set it's on. I'm currently seeking a final third piece, attack piece for his ring, but yeah, it's a pretty dangerous set. It comes up really nicely.
Okay. So instead of let's see, for Salazar, oh, I was going to ask you, are you a fan of the new skin for Salazar? Am I the only one?
No,
Am I in the minority?
I mean it's a bit weird. I mean, it's not
It's
actually
a bit
available on
weird.
Forerunner. It's not available on Forerunner. Um,
No,
it's
not
a
yet.
global
No, that's
exclusive.
right. Yeah, okay. Well, we can make a note of that if you want, but yeah, I think it'll come to Forerunners eventually.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, it will come, but it looks a bit weird. I mean, the electric guitar, the slashing electric guitar. They could have just given him the top hat, but yeah, play on his slashes. Um, Right, next up we have Abomination. Now this is a lovely piece. So basically, when he's triggered his ultimate twice, he does a increases the chance of triggering his charge attack by 10% and increases his charge attack damage by 100%. Now, his charged attack at a 1 is the thing which inflicts stun. As base on his basic, with it's a 15% chance. So this increases his chance of increasing this to 25%. And then he's increasing his damage by 150% on his when he's in his rage. This makes it 250%. This gives you even more reason to run his exclusive artifact, which boosts that rage up front. It is giving you bonus attack AoE damage straight up. Therefore, you want to be running his exclusive artifact. You want to be running this exclusive rather tanky breastplate. Um, but yeah, it's a really great set for. It's a really great skill for him, and it's just going to make him an absolute beast for Semra and in GVG. This is going to be really nice because he's got that tankiness because of the set.
Yep.
So this is one of the other new sets. So it's plus 30% HP and plus 15% defense. Definitely worth investing in for all of your defenders out there and tanky units. So yeah, really good piece.
So I've seen so we're talking about like stage 7, 8, I think, of Gear Dungeon 2 now. And in my situation, I like to use them on the left-hand side, right? Because
Hmm.
the clones don't switch yet. And if you can get him to do enough damage to clear all of that, especially with the psychophants coming around, you can manage that part easily. And then you just have to concentrate on the other two.
Yeah,
This piece here, he should be able to obliterate that side now.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, like I said, this they're just making the OG heroes pop a little bit more. So this just even more reason to, fuse them, and then hopefully you can push your account enough where you can start farming the early stages of Gear Dungeon so you can get lucky maybe and get this piece into your account.
Yeah, a lot of people. He's dropped off a bit in popularity because
Yeah.
he's not as amazing as he once was. But this is just going to push him right back up there in terms of
Yeah.
popularity. I mean, I honestly cannot wait to see what they do with Nyx because Nyx has become a real monster recently in how she's used in Arena. And so something
Hmm.
which does this level of chaos on Nyx with her exclusive artifact. Oh my
It
word,
just
that's going to
yeah.
be brilliant.
Yes, exactly. Yep. And looking at the specific wording for the condition here for his exclusive, unless you get two flats, I don't like the subsets that you're showing on screen. That's not bad. You already got the tankiness part of it there. Now you can probably concentrate on damage on the other pieces, or vice
Yeah.
versa. If you have damage come up, now you can worry about the tankiness on the other side. So it just the way that they picked his exclusive portion here, like you said, it will afford you the ability of whether you want to do like a hybrid build, or you do tank, or you do strict damage.
Yeah. But these are all really, really fun. The now last one is Morrigan's. I don't really know Morrigan's kit particularly well, but this reduces the Cursed Pact effect activation time by 20 seconds. I believe it's at base 40 seconds, so this brings it down to 20 seconds,
20
which
seconds.
increases the damage dealt by an extra 15%. So let me just get her up on the screen. So back to the Cursed cards. We're on Morrigan, and it's okay. So let's just turn this off because we're done with it anyway. So right, this is it. So this is increases the damage by starts by 30% and then increases the and that's after 40 seconds. So let me just put that back. So there we go.
Damage from 30.
So it goes 30 to 45%. And
Okay.
that's after 20 seconds. So that's a pretty significant damage, especially for a hero who people say that her damage is a little bit lackluster. This is going to make her a bit more viable to people in the end game.
Yeah, so Morrigan is a hero that I use to, because of her lore bonus. Of course, I used in Gear Dungeon 1, but the way that I use her, not only to bring her in into the fight for the lore bonus, was to finish things off on top. Once I was able to clear things on the bottom, so I would bring her in, do the extra damage with commit, clear things out, especially in a situation where the tank might be getting into trouble, because if you don't have your tank well built, it can get overwhelmed on top. So I just like the fact that they're making her a little bit more viable. And who is this your piece? Because those stats, man, that's just
No,
that's like whoever got that, just, oh, that's so wonderful right there.
Yeah, I've not done too badly. I've got exclusives for Setram, Torodor, and Silas. Sorry, Setram, Salazar, and Torodor. So I've got
Okay.
3 heroes, and I've got the one for the Watchguard. So not an amazing. Some people have done a lot better than me, but yeah, relatively happy with how things have gone. It's given me, I've still got about 150 dungeon keys to use. So that'll be really give me an incentive to try and push on with Gear Dungeon 2. Try if I can get 9 and 10 done. Probably not without any decent pushback, but we'll see what I can do.
So yeah, so okay, so that's pretty much the list, right? I think we went over every single one of them. Did you do Helga's? The
No,
amulet?
I didn't do Helga's actually. I do have it somewhere, but basically, if
Let's see.
you, it's an extra 30% increase in single target damage, which
Okay.
it basically gives her exclusive art. It basically buffs her even more because she is a little bit lackluster because you build her all for speed, and this is giving her a nice stack of damage. Um, and also, if you think about her exclusive artifact, which goes between 15 and I think it's 30% of attack damage with that. So that, again, that's another 30% damage. So she's going to be a real powerhouse if you're able to get her at that as well. So
Yeah, it's the Quill Storm. So that's her ultimate, right? If I'm remembering correctly,
yeah,
the damage is increased by 30%. But in addition, which is really key for her kit, and to make sure, especially for Samra, she's viable, she gets an additional 30 speed. So there.
Yeah.
So in the build already, you're adding more speed. So that means that ultimate's going to proc against the chain. You get more stuns. You add more damage reduction stacks. You should be able to handle that chainsaw mode even better. So
Yeah, and I mean, if she's adding damage, magic resistance reduction as she gets from her A3 onwards, then the shield phases of Semra will be that little bit easier too.
yeah, well, we need more copies or more fusion time for her so to get her to A3, unfortunately. But yeah, eventually we'll get there, I guess, somehow. All
Yeah,
right.
well, I think they're
That's a
going to
very
start
good.
turning up in the pool because I have seen hints about a Crodor banner coming up in a few weeks' time, or it was on the original plan. So it may be that these heroes are fusion exclusives for a year or so, and then they drop into the summon pool.
That would be even if it's a limited banner, like Lust, just an opportunity to get these guys awakened a little bit quicker. That would definitely help. Crowder can just go in the standard pool if they want to, but somebody like Helga, I mean, she has utility in many places in the game. So however they want to, I mean, they added Alistar to the engine uh, pool, so why not
Yeah.
put Helga in the normal pool or something like that? I wouldn't mind that. You know they probably would depress her rates just like they do some of the better heroes. So, but at least she would be there for you
But
to
her
be able to strike.
her damage sucks. Why would you? She's not a high risk. So, yeah, so put her in the common pool. I want her coming out as often as Kriya and Cratch. Yeah, I mean,
Can't make
no one
her.
wants Helga.
Can't make Semra too too easy for everybody. Let's see here. So besides all the pieces that were added, so the overview, Astral Guardian is just extra tank mode, more HP,
Yeah.
more defense. Wings of Grace is just healing effect. You get to add a little bit more attack to a hero. That's pretty much those two. And what else did get out of
So
here? It's
Cataclysm so we've spoken about
Cataclysm.
Cataclysm, we've spoken about Astral Grace, which is the plus 30% plus 15 defense, which is basically the pure upgrade of the Immortal Warrior. Cataclysm is, people are saying it's like an upgrade to Infernal Roar, but it's not. It's clearly an upgrade to, in my view, to Night Terror. And Wings of Grace, which is this healing effect set, which is basically
Yep.
Invigoration 2.0.
All right. That's a pretty good overview of the patch notes that were released here. So eventually all this will come to global. People be patient. Things will get worked out. Eventually Apple will get its cut and everything will go back to normal. It's just how fast they release this stuff into it, right? So maybe they'll let us play around with here in the Forerunner server. Look to see that it just not doesn't become too overpowered and then they can adjust it accordingly. But let's I wouldn't get, my perspective is, because I wouldn't get too negative about it. I mean, you and I can basically tell people, right, Arturos, these are good updates that are coming. The
Yeah.
Lucius fix, the did the Prettiest fix roll out yet into global? But that, little
Yeah.
things like that. Eventually, once they do pop in, the gear fixing in Guild Wars, I think that people are really looking forward to that. We're telling you, guys, these are good updates. They'll come to the global server eventually. Don't freak out. The game is not dying. There's no reason to go pitchforks right now. If you want to get mad at somebody, I would get mad at Apple. It's not Muntan's
Yeah.
fault. I don't think in this regard. So, uh, but based on how things are progressing, in that this is their version of power creep. um that's just, for me, it's all positive. I mean, the game is expanding just like it should, and is not trying to push too much into having these extra resources or extra stuff that you need to farm or buy to make your heroes even more powerful, right? This is all dependent on RNG, and it's somewhat limited in its accessibility because you only have so many keys each month. So, it's just hoping that you get good RNG to get some of these pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact that you get 100 keys a month for Gear Dungeon 1, Gear Dungeon 2. We know that there are icons and utility for additional gear dungeons down the line, but they haven't yet come out yet. So that would be even more opportunities to get these farming materials and more opportunities to forge this gear. So it's all positive, and it's kind of a nice way of introducing it, even if the chaos of the later stages of Gear Dungeon 2 is quite difficult unless you have the right heroes.
Right. I know. I'll give people that. There are some heroes that make that content really easy, but as always, somebody comes up with a new way to beat it. I mean, Gear Dungeon 2, who would have thought that there was a Cornelia method to it? So somebody figured that out. So there are definitely ways to get around some of this stuff. So, if we don't have anything else, Arturos, I think
Right.
we should just call it a week here, and then hopefully next week there's another good patch notes for us to talk about with the audience.
Yeah, and in the meantime, I hope you're all enjoying farming for more or pulling more from the global pool, and getting to enjoy the versatility that is the hero that used to kill himself.
It's like I can't believe they released him like that, man. Just get
If
him,
you
get him
haven't,
for get him for GVG. That's it. Just get that extra deployment, and then you can put him away. Don't even bother
yeah,
with him. I don't know why they released him like
if you
that.
haven't checked out Sebastian's video on more, please go and do watch it. It is, it's a perfect summary of what it's like to have more in your account.
Oh man, yeah, and look for summoning for Scylla 2 video. You just see my face drop when at 210 this bastard shows up instead of Scylla 2. It's a gut punch. And now global people are gonna get to experience it. So get ready, people.
Yeah.
I can't even
Okay.
I can't wait for those summoning pool videos. Oh, there's Ma. All right, folks. That'll do it for this one. Again, if you have any comments regarding the topic at hand, please post them below. And if we like the comment, we'll bring it as part of the discussion for next week's episode. For Arturos and myself, thank you all very much for watching. Let's try to get Arturos to 250 by next week's episode. And as always, thank you. We'll see you all next week.
Bye bye.